Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to, well, cut through the noise and give you the insights that genuinely make you well-informed. Today, we are uncorking one of the wine world's really compelling, maybe still a bit under the radar, treasures, Bandol. If you've ever wanted a real shortcut to understanding this unique corner of Provence, well, you're in the right place. We've really gone deep into analyses, articles, research on Bandol, uncovering its history, that incredible terroir, and of course the distinct wine styles.
Yeah, and our mission for you today is really to pull out the most important bits of knowledge, those surprising facts. We want to show you why Bandol isn't just, another wine region. It's often described as a living declaration of purpose and passion. So by the end of this, you should have a really nuanced understanding, good for prepping for a meeting, catching up, or if you're just, well, deeply curious about what makes these wines tick.
Okay, let's get into it. Bandol's story. It goes way back, millennia, actually. It's rooted in this really strategic spot on the southern coast of Provence, looking out over the Mediterranean. It's a place where winemaking wasn't just, a side thing. It flourished early on, thanks to the Romans, actually. They saw the potential right away, agricultural, strategic, these sun-drenched coastal lands. And by medieval times, wine production was thriving, helped hugely by having direct access to the port of Bandol itself. That was a crucial hub for trade across the Med.
Right, but what's fascinating here, and it's a story you see across Europe, is phylloxera. Late 19th century, it nearly wiped Bandol out. Total devastation. And the recovery, agonizingly slow. Really tough.
Yeah.
But the real rebirth, the kind of turning point, that came in the 20th century. And it's largely down to one person, Lucien Peyraud of Domaine Tempier. See, after phylloxera, lots of people were tempted to replant with easier stuff, faster growing grapes. But Peyraud, he was this tireless advocate for quality. And critically, he was a massive believer in the potential of Mourvèdre. Even though it's a difficult grape, he didn't just replant it. He did painstaking work on selection, massel finding, and propagating the absolute best old Mourvèdre vines, the ones perfectly adapted to Bandol. That was a huge commitment, real vision.
And all that hard work, it led to something pretty prophetic. In 1941, Bandol gets its AOC status, Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée. And this wasn't just about, protecting a name. It was a statement, a real act of conviction. Because at a time when others were chasing easier grapes, Bandol, they doubled down on Mourvèdre. They cemented its unique identity in the rules, especially that minimum 50% Mourvèdre for the reds. That foresight, that commitment to a tricky grape. That's why we have these incredible, complex, long-lived wines today. They didn't compromise. Yeah, that history definitely shaped it, but you're right, the land itself is the true architect here. Let's peel back those layers of the terroir, starting with, well, the air and the earth, the Mediterranean Sea, for instance. It's not just pretty scenery, is it? It acts like a giant thermostat, gives them mild winters, preventing those damaging late frosts, and then those long, hot, sunny summers, absolutely vital for Mourvèdre to ripen fully.
Okay, but how do the vines cope with all that intense Provençal sun? That's where the sea breeze comes in. It's constant, it's refreshing, it cools things down, stops the vines getting too stressed in the heat. But just as important, it provides nonstop ventilation. Think of it like natural aircon for the vineyards. Dries the leaves, dries the grapes. That drastically cuts down the risk of fungal diseases. Less need for chemicals, too. And then you've got the Mistral, that famous wind. Strong, cold, dry, blows down from the north. It can be tricky for the growers, sure, but it's also like this powerful cleaning force. Keeps everything dry and healthy. Again, less disease, more concentrated flavors.
It's pretty amazing how all these elements work together. And the mountains, the Massif de la Sainte-Baume, they play a part too, right? Forming this kind of natural amphitheater, shielding the vines from cold north winds, and bouncing the sun back onto the vineyards helps with ripening. And the landscape itself, those steep slopes, the terraces, that's not by accident either. It maximizes the sun exposure, makes sure water drains away naturally, no soggy roots. Plus, it gives extra frost protection because the cold air just drains down the slopes away from the vines, protects those early buds.
Exactly. And if you connect that to what's underfoot, the soils are just remarkable. It's a real geological tapestry. They're not all the same, and that diversity really shapes the wines. Limestone is key, often mixed with clay. Its porous nature means great drainage, which is crucial. But it also adds minerals. You get notes of chalk, flint, sometimes a hint of salinity. And really importantly, it helps the grapes hang on to their natural acidity. That gives the wines elegance and, well, that incredible potential to age.
Right, and then the clay that's often mixed in, that holds onto moisture.
Precisely. It's like a strategic reserve. Super important during those dry Provençal summers. It acts as a reservoir, stops the vines getting too water stressed, and that contributes directly to wines with more body, more structure, gives them that backbone.
So it's like a natural balancing act in the soil.
You got it. Think of it like a perfectly engineered natural irrigation system. Limestone drains the excess, clay holds just enough back for the dry spells. This creates a kind of beneficial, controlled stress on the vines, which leads to smaller grapes, thicker skins, higher concentration of sugars, acids, and those important polyphenols, the things giving color and tannin, all essential for Bandol's quality and longevity. Oh, and you find sandstone too, especially near the coast. That can add a slightly lighter touch.
Okay, so the land is clearly crucial. But you can't talk Bandol without talking about its star grape. This is where it gets really interesting. Mourvèdre, the star of Bandol. You might know it as Mistral in Spain, maybe Mutaro in Australia. But Bandol, that's its ultimate home, you could say. What makes it such a perfect match for this demanding place?
Well, it's a grape that absolutely craves heat, intense heat, loads of sun. And its most defining feature, a really, really long and late ripening cycle. Often goes well into October, which is perfect for Bandol's extended autumn sun. It gives those robust tannins time to fully ripen, to soften up. From a winemaking perspective, Mourvèdre gives the reds that strong tannic structure, the deep color, the rich flavor, and that immense longevity. But it demands patience. In the vineyard and definitely in the bottle, those tannins, they can be pretty firm, maybe even a bit harsh when young. But with age, they transform, become incredibly silky, refined. And the aromas, the flavors, so complex. Young, you get intense dark fruits, blackberry, blackcurrant, plum, black pepper, clove, nutmeg, earthy notes. But give it time 5, 10, 20, even 30 years, and you get these fascinating tertiary notes. Game, aged leather, mushrooms especially, black truffle, cigar tobacco, licorice, and always that signature garrigue character, the wild Provençal herbs, rosemary, thyme, lavender, bay leaf. It's like Provence in a glass.
Wow. And while Mourvèdre is the star, there are supporting players, right? Like a good ensemble cast. For the reds and rosés, Grenache brings warmth, fruitiness, volume, up to 40% in reds sometimes, and Cinsault. That adds elegance, freshness, red fruit notes, acidity, usually up to 20% in the reds. And then the whites, the rare ones. That's mostly Claret, but Ugni Blanc and Bourboulon too.
Exactly. They're rare jewels, the whites. Claret gives structure, Ugni Blanc brings acidity and citrus, Bourboulon adds floral notes, maybe a unique texture, makes them really distinct. And surprisingly, they can age too.
Okay, let's talk about decoding the wines themselves, the styles, what you actually taste. We have to start with the icon, the Bandol Tinto, the red. It's all about Mourvèdre, right? Minimum 50%, but often way higher, 95, even 100%. And a really key thing, a sign of their commitment to quality, is that mandatory aging. Minimum 18 months in wood, usually big oak casks, foudreau. That slow oxygen exposure, it's vital for softening those Mourvèdre tannins, about hitting you over the head with oak flavor. Let's the grape speak.
Absolutely. And the journey of a Bandol red, it's quite something. A real marathon runner, as you said. When they're young, just after that aging, the color's deep, almost black. On the palate, those tannins are definitely firm, maybe even a bit chewy, astringent. Clearly needs time. You get the vibrant dark fruit, the spice, that garrigue character. But wait, give it 5, 10, 20, maybe 30 years or more in the bottle. The color softens, goes towards garnet or brick red, those tannins. Incredibly silky, velvety, smooth. And then you get those amazing tertiary notes. Game, leather, truffle, tobacco, dried fruit, but still with this persistent, lively acidity keeping it fresh. It's a truly remarkable transformation, really rewards patience.
And then the Bandol Rosé, this isn't your average light summer rosé, is it? It's seen as a benchmark for a high-quality rosé. It's like a structure, body. It's genuinely gastronomic. Again, largely thanks to Mourvèdre, usually 50 to 95% aromas. Fresh red fruits, strawberry, raspberry. Subtle spice, maybe anise, white pepper, citrus like pink grapefruit, and those Provençal again. And the really surprising thing for a rosé, it can age like 3 to 5 years, sometimes more. It gets more complex.
Definitely. And finally, the really rare one, Bandol Branco, the white. Less than 5% of production, a true treasure find. The aroma profile's fascinating. Fresh citrus, herbs like fennel or verbena, delicate flowers, acacia, jasmine, and this really pronounced minerality which comes straight from those limestone soils. And yeah, even the whites can age surprisingly well, usually 3 to 7 years. They develop richer notes, honey, almonds, become really quite complex. Okay, so how do we get the absolute best out of these wines when we're drinking them? Temperature is key. For the reds, think 16 to 18 degrees Celsius, maybe slightly cooler for younger ones to tame the tannins a bit. Older ones, 18 degrees lets those complex aromas open right up. Rosé needs to be chilled, 8 to 10 degrees. That really highlights the freshness, the fruit, the florals. And the whites, about 10 to 12 degrees. Plus the citrus mineral and those lovely delicate aromas shine through, keeps the acidity bright.
Okay, and with those big tannins in the young reds, decanting, is that a must? And does it change for, those really old marathon runner bottles?
Good question. It really depends on the age. Young Bandol reds. Yeah, decanting for an hour or two can definitely help. It softens up those punchy Mourvèdre tannins, helps the aromas wake up a bit. They can be shy at first. Now, for aged wines, decanting does two things. One, gets rid of any sediment that's built up over the years. Two, it gently awakens those complex tertiary smells. But word of caution for the really old, fragile ones. Sometimes just opening the bottle a few hours ahead is enough. You don't want to over-aerate and lose those delicate nuances. And glassware matters too. Big Bordeaux-style glass for the reds lets the aromas collect. Rosés, maybe a slightly wider bowl to spread out those fruit and floral notes. Whites, a narrower glass helps concentrate the citrus, and mineral notes guides them right to your nose.
Right. And pairing these wines, it sounds like it's all about matching them with that Provençal Mediterranean vibe. For the reds, you mentioned robust dishes, roasted lamb with herbs, game like wild boar or venison in rich sauces, maybe a classic daube Provençal stew. Also great with aged hard cheeses. And you said it's especially good with truffles when they're mature.
It's exactly perfect matches. And for the rosés, which are so versatile, seafood from Provence is ideal. A rich bouillabaisse, grilled whitefish, lobster, shrimp. Beautiful. They also work brilliantly with fresh salads like a niçoise, a good ratatouille, anything with lots of olive oil and herbs. And surprisingly, they can handle some mild Asian food too. Pad thai, gentle curries. That freshness and spice works. And the rare whites. Think delicate whitefish, sea bass, sea bream. Fresh seafood like oysters, scallops. And they're fantastic with fresh or semi-aged goat cheeses. That bright minerality just cuts through beautifully. So we're bringing this all together. Tasting Bandol. How do you really spot the Mourvèdre? It's about consistency. Look for those firm tannins when it's young, knowing they'll turn velvety smooth with age. Feel that robust structure, that backbone. Remember the longevity we talked about? In young wines, expect intense dark fruit and spice. But as they age, watch for that evolution to game, leather, truffle, tobacco. And always, always listening for that underlying garrigue note, that wild herb character. It's the unmistakable signature of Bandol.
Let's talk about the people behind the wines. The keepers of the flame, as you call them. Those historic, iconic producers. Names like Domaine Tempier, obviously, with Lucien Peyraud. Chateau Perdot, known for really classic, powerful reds that age forever, almost. And Chateau Peyraud, up in its unique amphitheater site, making wines known for elegance, finesse. Their whole philosophy seems rooted in respecting nature, minimal intervention, using those big old casks for aging. That really built Bandol's reputation, didn't it? It's like bottling history.
Absolutely, but it's not just about the historical names. There's a really exciting wave of emerging producers, too. People like Domaine de la Bégude, Domaine Terroir, Domaine de la Bastille Blanche. They're blending that deep respect for tradition with some smart innovation. They're pushing quality even higher, adding diversity, and often with a really strong focus on sustainable farming. Organic, biodynamic. It's this mix that keeps Bandol so vibrant, evolving but staying true.
And you can see its reputation growing internationally. It's definitely moving beyond being just a well-kept secret. People are seeking it out now, which is a testament to the quality, the aging potential.
Yeah.
But success brings challenges too, right? Especially with things like climate change impacting vineyards everywhere.
Absolutely. That's a big connection to the wider picture. Bandol isn't immune. They're facing challenges from climate change. More extreme heat, longer heat waves, serious droughts. That can really mess with the crucial balance between sugar and acidity in the grapes, potentially changing the very character we love. So producers are adapting. They have to. They're selecting different Mourvèdre clones, ones that maybe ripen a bit later, handle heat better. They're tweaking how they manage the vine canopy, trying to get more natural shade on the grapes. They're getting smarter with water conservation, using cover crops between the rows to help the soil absorb water better, things like that. Using new tech to monitor things precisely.
And you mentioned that big shift towards sustainability, more organic and biodynamic farming.
Yes, definitely. There's a real focus on soil health, biodiversity, using fewer chemicals. It's becoming much more common.
It sounds like a delicate balancing act, though, trying to preserve that tradition while using innovation wisely, making sure new ideas improve things, make it sustainable, but without losing what makes Bandol, well, Bandol. Is there any worry that the signature style might change subtly over time because of these adaptations? Or will the core character stay?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's something that producers think about constantly. The aim isn't to change the style, it's really to protect it against the changing climate by being smart about clones, vineyard practices, soil health. They're trying to maintain that essential balance, that unique profile that defines Bandol. It's really about building resilience, adapting so that the expression of this unique place can continue for future generations, even as the world changes around it.
It really comes across that Bandol is so much more than just a wine region. It feels like a vibrant declaration of purpose, of passion, a testament to that amazing synergy, the unique place, the noble Mourvèdre grape, and the dedication of the vintners who commit to it year after year.
Exactly. Think of each bottle of Bandol as, well, a complex story. A story of sun, wind, ancient soils, and centuries of tradition carefully preserved. We really hope you'll explore these wines, explore their stories for yourself. Maybe next time you open a Bandol, just take a moment. Reflect on how rare and valuable that deep connection to a place and that commitment to expressing it in wine truly is in our fast-moving world.